Me too. Recording.
Step on shoelace.
Welcome to another edition of GrokTALK, New Hampshire's conservative podcast, the most heavily armed podcast in New Hampshire and perhaps New England.
The safest podcast in the state.
Very much so. And we actually have one of our guests early. Lynette Peterson is with us from Merrimack. She's a house rep, my house rep, who has joined us. She's our 9:30 guest, but she got here early, so we're going to let her in on the conversation. A couple of quick things we want to hit before we get to the first item on our bullet list. I wanted to remind you that we talked about a Democrat committee chair, Laura Pantelakos, last week, who said, "I don't care about protecting people's liberty." And we may revisit that topic this week, and we'll get some insight from Lynette, who was probably there. The Democrat majority House voted down a motion to allow New Hampshire reps to read a bill, an important bill, before it was voted on. The end vote was a party line vote. The Democrats agreed that they didn't need to read it to pass it. It's a huge piece of legislation that will make us basically ties to the federal government through Medicaid expansion. The New Hampshire Republican Senate is in the process of a grand bargain on expanding Medicaid in New Hampshire, which I am describing as negotiating the terms of our surrender.
I wouldn't call it very grand.
It's not, but you know, it's $2.4 billion. That's pretty grand if you ask me. A New Hampshire Republican committeeman, he said some interesting things. He embraced the progressive rhetoric and called the base flat earth Tea Partiers and Ted Cruz fans. We may touch on that.
Oh, we will.
Chris Christie aide Matt Maurer has been hired as the executive director of the state party, so we'll see how that goes. Christie being a tad bit more moderate than all the people in this room, but he is an aide and a professional, and he may be a professional and take the New Hampshire advantage and run with it in ways that we could only dream of. Lynette Peterson, of course, is here as our first guest. Josh Youssef will be with us later in the day. We're in the morning, 10 o'clock-ish, and that's when we'll really get into that whole party faction thing. We want to talk about why it's difficult to get good conservative candidates to run, and I think some of the stuff I just mentioned is why. Quick plug, don't forget to follow Granite Grok on Facebook. You just put in Granite Grok and you'll find us. We're there. Most of our posts show up there when all the software is working correctly, so you can catch us there or come right to granitegrok.com. We're also on Twitter. Our handle is Granite Grok, and you can listen to this program on iHeartRadio and on Spreaker. And of course, we want to thank CNHT, as we do every week, for allowing us to use the space that we are using to broadcast our program.
And I'll also say that if you don't have the time to scroll through Granite Grok, because we have lots of stuff all the time, you can sign up to get the Daily Grok and have all of our stuff delivered to you in your inbox right off the bat.
Cute little synopsized
and we have a lot of people doing that.
And we do. It's good because we have to remind people, because it's not really right there in your face. I mean, it says sign up for, updates, but not always.
And you can also subscribe to us on YouTube at Granite Grok.
Yep. And that reminds me, I have got to post those videos from that committee meeting after Laura Pantelakos said, "I don't care about protecting people's liberty." I got like almost 1,000 views on that. I really got to port that over because it's a good it's a great video, and the follow-up was even better, which I haven't watched yet, but I heard really good things about people losing their mind.
I've lost my mind.
Well, as it turns out, the guy who took it, he says that Steve Valancourt sent the link to everybody in the entire House.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And
I
so
saw it. I'm on his email list.
Everybody in the committee had the opportunity to see that they were being recorded, and a couple people were not too happy about it. So it was funny.
What's the difference? You look at somebody like Xander Rice Hawkins and Granite State Progress. They've got 3 or 4 people running around the State House every single day, capturing video from for as many people as they can get as far as committees are concerned. Unfortunately, we on the right don't have that. We don't have the money. We don't have the folks that are able to go and do that. Otherwise, we'd be getting a heck of a lot more of this stuff.
Well, Xandra gets her paycheck from Minnesota, and so she can do this as a profession. She can.
Yes.
She gets paid enough that she doesn't have to work like us regular schlubs. And you're going back to work. You're leaving the house, aren't you?
Correct. I had said from the start I would do 2 terms.
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters in college now, and
Yeah, the house doesn't really cover that.
No.
The $100.
No. I'm a substitute teacher right now, and I work at Reebok at the Merrimack Outlet Mall in the evenings, but need a little more.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things about this. I mean, if you don't have a spouse or an income or own a business that allows you to not be there, it's very difficult for you to participate in this process. Now, when we originally supported Bill O'Brien for speaker, one of the things that we talked about was trying to get back to the biennial session, which is you just do one year out of 2, you'd be there unless something came up, like, say, Medicaid expansion. And that was part of the plan. They just never got to that. You know, the idea was that, really more people would participate if they only had to show up a couple days a week and they only had to do it 3 months out of 24 or whatever it is. So that's definitely.
You can definitely save up enough vacation time to be able to do that, or a great part of that. I know I've been with my company long enough. I could probably do 2 months, maybe. I might come back and it would take me 3 weeks to catch up just on emails, but that's another point.
My husband does have a full-time paying job, but we said from the start we wouldn't saddle our 2 daughters with college debt. We'll pay 75% and they'll pay 25%. But paying the 75%, colleges are getting more expensive day after day. And the expenses that, not just tuition, but everything they add to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Fees and
fees kill
books, tuition. I mean the living expenses as well.
Yeah, those 40-pound tomes of liberal tripe are very expensive. Okay, speaking of liberal tripe, I wanted to get into this little bit of audio that I posted this morning, and Skip put it up before, but I hadn't seen it. This is a county commissioner in Westchester County, New York, who is giving his State of the County address to a large room of people, and he's talking about regional planning. What we have here is called Granite State Future, which is a coordination of regional planning, and the zoning requirements, and HUD, and how the arrangements are not the arrangements, and how signing up for this comes with a lot more baggage than you really are led to believe. And of course, Ken Earing is our local expert on that. He and Jen Cormier have been running around the state doing special little sessions and meetings trying to explain to people what this really is. Now, coming from them, people go, oh, she's this conservative nut job, and he's this crazy libertarian right-wing conservative guy who, those crazy conspiracies. This guy is a Westchester, New York County commissioner. He is not. Probably not a Republican.
No.
He is very, well, let's listen to it. You can't not. I think that's enough. He keeps going. We posted it at Granite Grok, and of course you can just look up Rob Astorino, Astorino. It's also available on YouTube, and of course you can follow his instructions and go to the Westchester website. But you have a very concerned look.
Oh my word! Concerned look is putting it mildly.
That is what the RPCs are after. That is what Granite State Future is all about. But they will never tell you that.
No, and this really is the more and a scarier proverbial camel's nose under the tent. Because as you just listened to the commissioner say, the county agreed to one number, and then just like we have seen Obama continually change by executive fiat what the Obamacare law now says, he twists it and turns it around for his own advantage. It's still the same as it was in black and white, but everybody realizes it's not the same. This is what HUD, through their Sustainable Communities Initiative, has done to Westchester. We agreed to X amount. Now HUD wants 10X amount. The fact that they would have to raise their property taxes 200% to fit this new deal that HUD is laying on them. And essentially what they've done is that, as I have been complaining about for years now, they're really almost all but federalized Westchester County. They are literally, as you said, Steve, trying to take over, and we see that here in Granite State Futures. They will deny it. Basically, yes, somebody left a comment on your post. Radical Moderate said, if you like your neighborhood, you can keep it. And essentially, I hate to say it, but Obama's made himself a punchline with that. If you like your plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it.
People need to realize that this all happens without anybody voting, without anybody you elected voting. You have no voice. Your representatives have no voice. This county commissioner is standing before these people making these statements. But if HUD wants to come in and apply the strong arm, he really can't do anything about it unless he can get his county sheriff or somebody to stand up and say no.
Well, he says later on, because I did post this up a while ago, that they are going to fight it in court. But when you look at the sheer money and number of lawyers that the federal government can throw at this versus Westchester County, which is no small governmental agency at the local level. I mean, they've got a lot of bucks and they've got attorneys as well. But you look at the Leviathan government that we have allowed to be created by progressives. I mean, they look at this and like, who the heck are you? I look at Obamacare, and it was bad enough that we had 2,700 pages rammed through Congress, through the Senate, by a single party, signed by that same party's president. Not a single Republican applied to that. That was just the beginning of the big hurt, because now you've got legions of non-governmental agencies, special interest groups, plus I'm done with the good words. The socialists and communists that have wormed their way into government and into these particular agencies, Van Jones being a self-professed one, was an immediate advisor to President Obama. You look at President Obama's background; they were communists. So I'm not going to be polite anymore. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like the rest of the Republicans do anymore. And it's the 20 to 35,000 odd pages. I can't remember what the current number is, but they're the ones that originally, they had that grandfather clause. If you like your plan, you can keep it. And then they came right along afterwards and rewrote the regs so that if the insurance companies made any change at all, substantial change. Yeah, $5 difference in your copay might have been it. Well, you're no longer grandfather. And now we see HUD doing the same thing. They're changing on the fly. They're trying to say, no, that wasn't the agreement. No, we want to change the agreement, and you have to accept this. It's basically, nice little counter you got there.
It's
be ashamed if something happened to it.
There's plenty of memes for it. It's Darth Vader changing the terms of the agreement. What are you going to do? The Empire will crush you. You have no choice.
Yeah.
The end result was they ran away. in the movie. But that's, I mean, some people can't run away. You can't. I mean, you've
How-
invested millions of dollars in your home. You've invested whatever it is, thousands, hundreds of thousands. You've invested in your family. You've invested in their care. You've invested in your employment to pay for all these things. The federal government comes along, the empire, and says, new way.
Yeah.
They entice you with all their tasty little carrots, all the free money, free health care. Nothing's free. And with the health care, everyone, I had a big discussion last week in New York with a few people. They were excited, they were getting insurance, and it was free. And I said, well, who's paying for it? Well, no one, it's free. No one has to pay for it, and they don't get it when I explain.
They actually said that?
Yes, they actually said it. It was free. And I said, well, there's no free gift. Someone has to pay for it. And when I explained about taxes going up and how people who work and have insurance, how their insurance is now getting worse to cover your free, they said, well, I didn't know that. I said, of course not, because you don't want to know it. You're being offered a free gift. You're taking it and running.
I like the way she puts that, Steve. You don't want to know.
Yeah, they
that.
don't. They don't want to know what's happening. And the same with the Granite State Futures. They offer free. We'll help you upgrade your library. Here's free money for your library. No one gives free money. The government does not give free money. There's strings attached, but they don't want to know what the strings are.
Yeah, I keep hearing
Well,
this
it's
all-
like your sidewalk story.
Oh.
It's that simple. They give you money for a sidewalk. You have to maintain the sidewalk. You have to plow the sidewalk. You have to keep the sidewalk up. You have to make more sidewalks. They have all these rules that you have to follow. You have to put them a certain way, a certain da-da-da-da-da, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
It's like saying, here's baby. It's free. Guess what? It's not. You have to pay to care for that thing forever.
Yeah. We have... Lynette's looking at me a little strangely. An economics... Well, yeah, for the normal reasons, yeah, everybody does. But yeah, we had this home ec teacher in the high school say, let's do a class project, and let's see if we can get federal money to put in sidewalks around the high school. Now, sure, we've got sidewalks around our high school. They cost $300,000. Most of that paid for by the federal government. It's free money. I confronted the teacher. I said, free money? Where did this come from? Oh, to us it's free. Really? How about everybody else that's getting free money for their sidewalks to nowhere? Where's that coming from? And she walked off in a huff. Now, since then, the strings attached, absolutely, those sidewalks have to be almost the first thing that's cleared of snow. Forget the streets, sidewalks have to be cleared. After all, those first graders and second graders. So we had to go out and buy a couple specialized snow blowers. Those little tracked vehicles you see sometimes in some of the bigger towns downtown to move the snow stuff. There's other stuff around. Same thing with the band cupola in some of the fields. Federal money, 1976. Rah-rah patriotism. Sure, it got built. Now you're on the hook for that. Guilford also has an outdoor ice arena. I cannot believe how much we have spent on that thing to keep it upgraded. And I keep saying, how many people really use it? Not that many. Well, why don't we just let it collapse? Oh, well, if we do, we have to pay back all that money that was given to us by the feds, 30, 40, 50 years ago, plus interest.
That's the strings.
Yeah, it's great, but they don't want to know it's there. No,
Well, no, and that's
it's free money.
I bring it up, and I'm the one that's excoriated. Oh, you want to ruin everybody's quality of
Radical.
life.
You
Radical.
are. We are extremist, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated.
Mountain Dew driven.
Well, you are.
Yay!
That's our motto.
I
That's
gotta
how
get
we start
Pepsi
the
to give us
show.
some money.
I got Dunkin' Donuts in front of the camera every week. I do it for free coffee.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't? Well, why are they giving me free coffee? I buy this every week. Why? You pay for it now. Why would we give it to you? There's strings attached. Oh, no.
But you look at, the latest thing with HUD is that they want to use this radical notion, reactionary notion of disparate incomes. So they actually have a plot of almost every single neighborhood in the country, and they're going to look to say, why are you discriminating? And they're going to insert other kinds of housing into your neighborhood for social justice, for equality. I got news for you. Freedom and equality do not mix. Though they want to make it sound good, and for the people who don't want to know, equality, freedom, yeah, that sounds good. No, that's not what our country was built on. It was not built on equality. France was, and that's where Dr. Guillotine came up with his invention.
Equality of removing of one's head.
Yeah, yeah.
This will take off any head, regardless of age, color, ethnicity.
All movements that say that they are for equality are not. You end up with a low class of misery and the apparatchiks at the top and the crony capitalists, if there are any left, if they haven't been taken in the first swipe. You've always had the Long March. You've always had the democides that happen under an equality government. Only under our founding, where the primary value was individual freedom and liberty, have you had growth and power come naturally.
Just equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome.
And equality before the law, versus what we're seeing now is, I look at Obamacare, and supposedly it's going to make everybody equal. Well, you know something? They forgot to ask the doctors, and I'm writing now, they will start forcing the doctors on a penalty if you do not accept Medicare, Medicaid, and Obamacare. You will no longer practice medicine. I got news for you. Most of the doctors will then up and quit. And then the next thing will happen. They will be forced to work because they can't make this plan work any other way.
Or we'll get government doctors.
Well, they're also given quotas. My husband and I lived in North Bay, Ontario for 2 years and got to experience socialized medicine up in Canada. Even the Canadians, when they have a big procedure, take out a loan and go to the United States. A lot of our neighbors, that if they had, them or their family members had something major, they didn't do it in Canada. They came to the States. You were put on a waiting list. The quality of care was not the same. If your doctor reached his quota before the year was over, you couldn't go to that doctor. You had to go to someone else until your doctors could start a new quota the first of the year. They have a 15% sales tax to pay for their free health care. Their salary, I believe, is taxed 55%, is what I've heard, from Canadians coming to the Merrimack Outlet Mall, which is always loaded with Canadians because things are so much cheaper here. Life in general is marked up 20 to 40%. Mm-hmm. And this is all to cover free health care.
And that's what we're going to experience.
The orthopedic surgeon I have is from Canada. He does not practice in Canada because of their socialized medicine. He's also talking about finding another country to move to.
I don't doubt it.
Your hands are tied as a doctor.
It's all a case when it comes down to is the breaching of the right to private property. That we have the progressives, and sadly too many of them are also in the Republican Party, who believe that the common good outweighs the need of the rights of the individual, so we must do that. And we're seeing that now with the Medicaid expansion by private insurance. It's still the same money, still somebody else is getting taxed heavily for us to get that money. It's never free. And I just want to strangle some of these politicians who continue to say that it's free because they know better. And they're basically mini Obamas when they lie. I'm just going to be open about it. You cannot tell me that getting money from a government that doesn't have it already, okay, is the right thing to do. Boy, that half hour went real quick.
They all do.
They do.
They do.
We're done.
Well, we're coming back in the next segment. Lynette Peterson's going to talk to us about some bills that she's involved in. Maybe we'll briefly visit the special session this week. And I'm Steve, here with Skip Murphy and Lynette Peterson. This is GrokTALK, and we'll be right back. Your mics are off. You're still on camera, but your mics are off.
Yeah, it's funny, and hard work has gone down the drain here. Hard work has gone down the drain.
Oh, it is.
And Americans are too proud. When I was over in Azerbaijan and Turkey, 2 years in a row, you'll see people sweeping parks for their job. I was talking to this, but that's her job. She's to clean. She has 4 parks that she sweeps, picks up the trash. I mean, she's sweeping the dirt off the sidewalks back into the, and she makes, that's her job. Get someone to do that in the States, they won't even work at Burger King for what they're supposed to pay. We're too proud. There's plenty of jobs out there they don't want, it's below them. They'd rather get the free dole.
I've never been too proud.
Well, here's the
I
problem.
worked on a fish and lobster boat when I was in high
I
school.
picked up garbage for a year and a half. It was a second job.
When I was younger, I went and I shoveled snow. I used to
That's
literally
amazing.
clean up.
We did. My sister, myself, and 2 of our friends were the first female caddies in my hometown. And we carried golf clubs, shagged golf balls to make money.
Well, the Groksters have heard this before, but my wife and I ran an institutional daycare for a while until she got sick. And of course, we had to have some of the DCYF people there, otherwise we knew what would happen during our inspections. And I used to have a gaggle of these single gals with the young kids gather in my lobby, and they would say, go here to get this free, go here to get that free, go somewhere else to get something else free now. And it used to drive me crazy. Well, I have to stay home with my kids, so I can't work. And my wife's the director, and every time I'd hear this, I had visions of her walking up the hallway with my 2 kids in tow, and it just drove me crazy.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, from a marginal tax standpoint, what's killed the urban black family is that the guy can't be around, they can't get the goodies. And in the beginning, the husband would go away because he wanted to protect his family. But now look what the culture has done. You look at what Obamacare has done. I look at it this way. Right now, there's a huge marriage penalty.
Yeah.
My wife talked about it last night. It would be better for her if I divorced her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it a vomit care.
And now
it's painful.
And now if you make over 400%, if you make $1 over the 400% of the poverty level, you now have to pay all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you could bankrupt yourself by doing that.
Yeah.
And
Be a freeloader. It's better.
Well, well, in a sense,
strive to be a freeloader.
This isn't just redistribution.
No.
This is retribution.
Yep.
This is also reparations.
Yep. That's why I call them demo rats.
Coming back.
It's like.
GrokTV.